CFX, the Connection of Things, streams live online from Secwepemcúlecw, which is the unceded and traditional territory of the Secwepemc Nation in southern British Columbia, Canada. It was October 9th, 2011, which is my daughter Cassidy's birthday, actually. And I found myself standing that crisp October morning on Government Street in Victoria, British Columbia, in my running shorts, my 2011 Run for Water race shirt, and my white running room hat. I always wear the race shirt from the last event that I completed because I feel like I've earned it. I wear that in the next run that I was doing. So here it was. It was just 3 days after my wife Karen and I got married, and we are in the Goodlife Fitness Victoria Marathon. You can see there, our bibs said, just married. So we're crazy. This is what we do for our honeymoon. We go run marathons. Anyways, it was a lot of fun, and my dad was running with us, and my daughter Cassidy and our son Jake were also running with us. And I was standing in the start line in the run corral, waiting to go in a big crowd of runners. And standing beside me was this quite tall, slender man wearing an orange turban. And I thought to myself, wow, that must get hot. And it turned out that the runner that they were actually announcing over the loudspeaker, who was the oldest runner registered in that race, was this fellow standing right beside me with the orange turban on. I was like, wow, that's impressive. I think he was 93. It was hard to tell because there was so much chatter in the start line. But I thought, wow, I want to run a marathon when I'm 90. My desired future. Okay, well, in order to do that, first of all, I have to live to be 90, right? I have to be alive, and I have to be healthy enough to run 42.2 kilometers. So, and without dying. So, okay, let's start reverse engineer the steps to do that. I have to exercise regularly today. I have to stay in shape till I get that age and not lose my muscles to atrophy. I need to rest enough every day in order to recharge, rejuvenate, and stay resilient. I need to eat nutritiously and make sure that my body's got the fuel it's going to take to get me there. And I got to not get eaten by a wild animal or run over by a bus. Those are my key priorities. Now, guess which one of those is the hardest for me? Guess. If you said eat nutritiously, yay for you. You guessed right. You get to have a banana as your reward. Lots of potassium in that. Actually, wait a minute now. I'm in Canada. According to an article I was just reading in the Victoria paper, the Times Colonist, most of the bananas that are available to me to eat come from Latin America or South America. Agree or disagree? Of course you agree. That's where they come from. Sometimes the tarantulas come in the banana boxes too. And according to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, get this, despite bananas being an important product, there's been very few carbon footprint studies published. And the results vary widely. Like they go from 324 grams to 1,124 kilograms of CO2 equivalent for the supply chain greenhouse gas emissions for bananas in Canada. Now compare that with your car that runs on gasoline. According to Natural Resources Canada, which is a government agency, gasoline engines produce 2.3 kilograms of CO2 per gasoline consumed. I'll put these references in the show notes if you want to check it out. Are you still with me on this? Okay. Gasoline engine produces 2.3 kilograms of emissions. So, okay, now according to fruitsandveggies.org, I was spending some time on the net. One banana is typically 108 grams, which means there's about 9 of them in a kilogram. So that means that one banana is costing between 0.036 kilograms and 125 kilograms of CO2 equivalent. Well, that's a huge range. Well, let's take the mean, 562, halfway. Now, according to the Canadian Fair Trade Network, Canadians eat 3 billion bananas every year. 3 billion bananas. That's bananas. Give me some banana emojis. I need bananas. Come on, Sarika, banana emojis. Now, 3 billion bananas, that works out to 33,333,333 kilograms of bananas. Multiplied by the mean of 562 gives you 187 megatons. You with me? 187 megatons supply chain GHGs for bananas in Canada. Now, I'm bringing it home. According to Environment in Canada and Climate Change, in 2018, Canadian passenger vehicles. Now get this, that's cars, light trucks, motorcycles, rail, and domestic aviation. All of that combined emitted about 90 megatons of CO2 equivalent. Okay, bananas, 187. Passenger vehicles, 90. So when you compare the full banana supply chain, GHGs, compared with Canadian passenger vehicle emissions, it's about double. That's bananas. Now, okay, I'm comparing apples and oranges or bananas, whatever. But, and that calculation doesn't account for the full life cycle cost of producing the oil and the gas and manufacturing the car, for sure. So, but still, it's bananas. Double what we emit from our passenger vehicles. The cumulative effects of bananas is bananas. Give me some banana emojis. Come on, there they are. All right, Sarika. Now, my guest this week is Olivia Lamb. Now, Olivia is an Innovation Superclusters lead for Protein Industries Canada within Innovation Canada. And she's also a self-taught baker in Ottawa, Canada. And her focus is on local ingredients, local community, and Canadian brands. And Olivia and I are going to talk about the cumulative effects of baking. Hey, Olivia. Thanks for joining us here today.
Hi.
Great to see you. How's
Thank you so
things
much
in
for having
Ottawa
me on your
today?
show today.
Yeah.
Good. Nice and sunny in Ottawa today.
Sunny in Ottawa? Oh, come on. That's
Yeah.
bananas. It's always cloudy there. No, I'm just kidding. If you haven't already, go bananas and subscribe to this channel right now. And if you're really sick of bananas, sorry about that, but I had to play this one up. Say hi to Sarika over there in comments and reactions. Give her a thumbs up. Olivia, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, Bourbon Blues on the street, loose and complete. Let's get this show underway. Bananas. I need bananas. I'm going bananas. More banana emojis. All right. Well, Olivia, I sort of introduced you kind of like we'd get to know you if I was looking you up on LinkedIn. How about sharing a little bit about yourself that we wouldn't necessarily know if we only got to see you through LinkedIn or by visiting your website?
All right. So I am a bunch of things, but I really like learning, and that's a part of what I enjoy learning about food, about economics, about history, that all sorts of things. So two things about me that you wouldn't find anywhere. I'm an avid historical fiction fan, so that's my genre of book that I like to read. Yeah,
Cool.
and
Do
then
you like Stephen Pressfield?
I have not heard of him, so I'll have
Oh,
to
you
look
got to
into
check
that.
him out. You're in luck. There's lots of good reading there.
Yeah, so a lot of my book collection that I've collected over COVID, which is like 4 stacks of 12 books each, is all majority historical fiction. So that's what I like.
Cool.
Second thing that you might be able to kind of read between the lines on some of my platforms is I'm a big vintage and thrift fan. So I like
Yeah.
looking for recycled, pre-loved fashion and just vintage pieces that really pop out when you're walking through the store.
Very cool. It's hard to beat really good retro
Yes.
for
Yeah, I
sure.
wish sometimes that my parents kept their retro clothes for me, but they are gone.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing. I don't know. What is it with fashion? Like it goes around like a 20-year cycle or whatever. So,
It does. It does. It comes back. Styles always come back. I'm sure there's some come back, but there are some that we definitely appreciate having coming back.
like flared jeans.
Flared jeans are back, and I think I'm a fan, but I know some people are not.
Yeah, I think they're actually pretty cool, but it depends. They're better on tall people, and so I'm not. I'm really not that tall, so they kind of just make me
They,
look like a big cedar. But hey, Brenda, I love the blues too. As Gord Downey says, the blues are still required. So thanks for that. Thanks for that great comment. Okay, so historical fiction writer for sure, and retro treasure hunter.
yes, that is me in a
Olivia,
nutshell.
I was looking on your website, and I'll share it a little bit later. It's inspiringolivia.com. You have a lot of amazing stuff there, a lot of amazing recipes. Actually, I went through all the recipes, and you know what? I didn't find any bananas. So, yahoo! Thank
Probably
goodness.
for good reason.
Yeah, because one of the principles of your baking is using local ingredients. And so, I mean, it is possible to grow them in a greenhouse, I suppose, locally, but typically you wouldn't find that. So, just on the carbon footprint alone of not utilizing that, but perhaps using orchard run apples from down the street, that the carbon
Mhm.
footprint equation is hugely different. Share with people how you incorporate this into your baking, and then kind of how you have to roll with the seasons, right?
Yes. So a big part of why bake is to use those fresh seasonal ingredients that are grown locally, or at least within the province. So I mean, a lot of farmers within Ottawa and the Ottawa Valley offer a lot, um, whether it's rhubarb that grows almost all year round that can be used, and it's always a great addition. Apples are almost always in season here. And then I'm really looking forward to like the fresh produce and berries that are going to be available in the summertime and hopefully early spring. But I guess it depends on the weather here. So it's really kind of great to have those fresh and seasonal ingredients available, and not have to like buy bananas and increase the food miles in the produce that I use.
And local and fresh just seems to taste better, anyways.
It really does. And I mean, the farmers, if you pop into the farmers market and talk to them, they're so knowledgeable and they
Yeah.
can tell you like what they use as fertilizer,
Mm.
like what they're doing to reduce the impact there and just doing straight from farm to table essentially.
Yeah, we were talking, Seth Conger and I were talking about this, I think it was 3 shows ago, about the connection of agriculture, that accumulation of chemicals and fertilizers we shouldn't be using, and all of this stuff sort of moving up through the food chain, preservatives, because we move product over these huge distances,
Mhm.
all ending up in our minds and being a big part of what's driving dementia, actually. So
Yeah.
yeah, we all know it. We all know that it's better to eat local and organic. It's cool that you're doing it. Do you find that sometimes people say, "Oh, it's more expensive or it's more difficult"? Do you find that?
I think it depends on where you go. Like sometimes when you go to the farmers market, some of the produce is actually less than it is in the grocery stores, especially if that produce is imported at the grocery store. It's more expensive.
Right.
But there are often times where I'll go to the farmer's market and things will be a little bit more expensive, but
Yeah.
you know that you're paying into reducing your impact and the food miles on those produce.
Yeah, and you know something I've learned like this. I guess it's not really related to baking, but like with some animal products too. Like when we try to buy our if we do eat beef or other meats, we try to buy them from local ranchers. And
Mm-hmm.
typically, when you're buying from a smaller operation, because they're smaller, they have a higher cost of production. But
Mm-hmm.
they don't do stuff like inject water or other things into the meat. So by the time it actually ends up on your plate, it's probably just about the same amount, only it's higher quality.
Exactly. So you're paying for that. You're paying a bit more, but you know that you're paying for that quality and that care.
Yeah, and then you're also part of your local economy, which is a really really important aspect if we want to have these benefits. We also
Hmm.
have to support the people that are producing them.
Exactly. And I mean, they're working hard, and the growing season is very like it's a small, shorter time in the year than what we get imported. So I think it's really important to support them as much as we can.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I mean, you produce goods that you then it's not just for you, right? You sell them or you move them out back out to markets to people in your community.
I do. So I do have a small baking business where I do monthly treat boxes, and just recently I started doing biscotti. That's not just monthly, but
Hmm.
a little bit longer term. Biscotti is one of the ones that are uh, better preserved. They're like triple baked, so they last they have a
Oh
longer
yeah,
shelf life.
yeah.
So that as well. But yeah, so a lot of the ingredients that I use are local, and then I kind of well, I bake them, and then they go back into the local economy to local folk.
That's cool. That's cool. It's I mean, that's the whole concept around circular economy, and I'm always blabbing about cumulative effects and the fact that the earth nourishes people and people create economy, and it's a dependent relationship that way. And the cool thing is that we get to decide if our economy is just going to deplete or if it's going to regenerate. And what you're doing and participating in is a regenerative way to go. We've got lots of activity over in comments and reactions. Way to go, everybody. Fire us a couple of emojis. Give us a thumbs up, maybe a sizzling 100. I don't know. Just encourage Olivia and I to get all fired up because it's so great to have everybody along. Yeah, monthly treat boxes. So if people want monthly treat boxes, is that something they could get? Like they could connect with you through your website?
Yes, so I do have a Shopify website as well, where
Nice.
you can find all of my products and a little bit of information on what I offer. And um, yeah, everything's up on the website there.
Let me show
And
people
yeah,
that. I'm just going to go to that. Hopefully, my tech will cooperate. Yeah. So here's Olivia's blog. I just need to like refit it into the screen here so you can see it's on my desktop. And you can see she's got a number of categories here, but all these delicious, amazing recipes. I love ginger and chocolate. So like if you want, she's just so generous sharing everything there. Definitely take the opportunity to connect with Olivia there on her site. And so
that's great.
that the treat boxes brings to mind this idea of packaging. And I know like
Yes.
that's another thing that I've yapped about. I'm learning more about food, but it takes 16 square meters of land, oops, to produce the packaging that my phone came in, which is like kind of mind-boggling. And I totally get it, Steve Jobs. Like, it's a nice experience when you get an Apple product, but I probably could have done with a bubble wrap. So, packaging takes a lot of resources. It's often single use, like plastics. It can have a big footprint. Thank God bananas typically aren't in that. They get that one wrapper that holds them all together. But they do come in waxed corrugated boxes, which are really tough to recycle. What's your perspective on packaging? Like, how do you use that? How do you deal with that? And what would you suggest for other bakers who want to share their goods?
So I think the most important thing is having recyclable packaging as a start. So all you see in the grocery stores, you see there's always like that little window on baked goods that's plastic, so you can peer into the box. And
Yeah.
yes, it's very appealing. But if people can see my products online in a photo, then they can have a better idea of what it looks like.
Yeah.
And so I have most of my boxes are all craft, like they're all cardboard. And so when people open them, they can see the treats inside, but until you open the box, you can't see the treats.
Yeah.
But that's a part of sustainable packaging, right? Because if there is even that little window of plastic, then people often just throw out the whole box and it can't be recycled properly. So that's a big part of it. And so as much as I can, I try to stay away from plastic packaging. I know there are things like biscotti that I have to save for a long time that needs to be sealed in a plastic bag, and there's not really too much of a way around it for now. Like I know there's beeswax wraps, but I'm not going to be sending out a beeswax wrap for every 4 biscotti for every customer. So until I kind of figure out something a little bit more sustainable there, there's not a great way around it, but there's definitely a lot. Even if you're thinking about often on cakes, you'll see like there's little plastic decorations that you can put in, like little toppers and stuff like that. If they're paper and wood, that's great. They can be recycled. But if they're plastic based or made of plastic, then that stuff, like, what are you going to do with that after you use it once? Like maybe you'll reuse it or maybe you'll throw it out. And so that just ends up wasted, right? So a lot of that can be avoided. And then the last thing is a lot of people like to use cakes, flowers on their cakes. Okay. And that can be wasteful as well, because the floral industry, with all the floral foam and everything that needs to come with it, it can be wasteful, because when you put a flower into a cake, you have to think about whether that flower is edible or whether it needs to be wrapped in plastic to keep it from like contaminating the food. So there's a lot to think about there. And then like, what are you going to do with those cut flowers? Like, are they going to go to waste? Are you going to dry them? So there's a lot to think about there too. And so it's just like there's like little things that go into baking that you can minimize to make your impact less.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's some great ideas. Like I was just thinking as you were talking about, I work with a food service that helps me get my meals together. And one of the reasons I chose this one is because of their sustainable packaging. And so I think it's 98% of everything that my food comes in is all recyclable. And they've got this stuff that looks like plastic wrap, but I think it's made out of corn or something like that, and it's totally biodegradable. So pretty amazing.
That is really
we have the technology, right? We have the technology. Even the ice packs are just a saline solution in a recyclable bag.
Mm-hmm. We really do. Even packaging goods to ship, like you could use bubble wrap or you could use just recycled paper. And so there's always a better option. There's always a better option out there. You just have to find it.
I'm going to take us into the Forest of Whispering Speakers, but I'm going to just reach out to everybody joining us live and say, hey, like if you've got a specific question for Olivia, post it in there, and I shouldn't get to have all the fun of asking her all the questions. So if you guys want to put her on the spot, just put a question in there and we'll come back to it. So I'm going to switch over here to the Forest of Whispering Speakers. And if you've been watching this show, you know that I'm always using bluesy riffs to open these new segments. But this is so cool. I got getting to know Olivia. I chose this little riff just for you because I think it's all about your style. You ready?
I am.
Can you hear that? That's Olivia. Oh yeah. Heavy, hard metal, right? That's you. It's interesting though. Like I mean, I was self-taught on guitar, and even at the root of that, the blues are in there. All right, so Forest to Whispering Speakers. I'm usually doing a song that's in pop music. Although in the last couple of episodes, I've been getting spanked by the big labels because I tried to like share their music, and then they don't like me promoting their products. So I've had to sort of do things a little bit different. But today I want to share it is a song, and it is on YouTube. So I'll just show you here. There it is. And it's called Chiquita Banana. And I don't know why I chose that song, but anyways, let me tell you a little bit about this. And this is the one on YouTube, the original commercial from way back. But I got this got to totally give credit where credit's due. mentalfloss.com had the article on Chiquita Banana and Patty Clayton. So I'm not going to play this song because I always get in trouble when I play the song, but it's an old commercial, and shipping restrictions introduced in World War II had greatly decreased banana consumption in the United States, which, get this, Olivia, went from 17.9 pounds per person in 1939 down to 8.2 pounds I'm going to come back to us. In 8.2 pounds in 1943. Okay, so over the course of the war, they went from 18 pounds down to 8. They basically dropped in half. Wow. I started to get going on math again, and like that number seemed high. So I started looking, okay, the population of Canada today, 35.6 million people, a little less than California. Isn't that amazing? California has passed Canada. They have 39.6 million people. That puts us in context. I think they're actually the 5th largest economy in the world too, California. But anyways, 33 million kilograms, right, of bananas that we eat equals 73.5 million pounds. Work it all out. That's 2.1 pounds per capita that we eat in Canada. And in the United States, they were, 13 times the consumption rate of us. So what's going on there? Anyway, in 1944, the United Fruit Company released this radio jingle called Chiquita Banana. And it was to tell consumers about all the great things they could do with the fruit. So the song was written for the company by Garth Montgomery, Leonard Mackenzie, William Wurges, and sung by Patty Clayton. And in order to get bananas back up on everybody's radar, they played it 376 times a day on radio across the country. And it worked. It worked. And so, as they say on the website, according to banana historians, so they're even weirder than like historical history historians, is there such a thing as a banana historian?
I'm not sure.
Anyways, they said that the banana consumption rebounded. So it's interesting when I just look back. I'm not going to go. You can go check out the original commercial there and check out the words. It's 1940s cartoon style, Chiquita Banana. But it also really tells us about the power of songs and jingles to directly influence our consumption. And I mean, it was in a matter of a year able to rebound banana consumption in the United States. How effective it was. So we need to get Olivia to write a song about sustainable, locally sourced ingredient baking.
I'll have to find someone to partner with on that one. I don't have too many skills in that department.
Are there any writers out there? Brenda, okay, so Brenda's got a question. I'm going to just bring this up on the screen. Food literacy. Sure. Project done at SD 73, so that's close to here, School District 73, which is in the Okanagan, I think. Includes food production, preservation, sharing. How do local groups get volunteer help to create and or develop websites? Got any ideas on that?
So I think in terms of getting volunteer help to create or develop, in terms of developing websites, I think there's a lot of free services out there, probably within, I'm not sure about where Brenda's located, but within the city that could help
Hmm.
out, like
She's out
that
near
sort of
me in
thing.
BC.
Okay. Um, Volunteer help. Yeah, I'm sure there's free services out there for this sort of work. And so I'm not too insightful about anything outside of Ottawa, but I'm sure that we could look into that. Or
And yeah, Kamloops, Esty. So okay, so not the Okanagan. Sorry about that, Brenda. So yeah, there are, and then there's a lot of platforms. Like there's lots of things where you can. The free version of the website gets you a long way there. So
exactly, yeah. So like things like WordPress is free. There's a lot of free websites out there, and then lots of forums that you can ask free questions on, and people can kind of help you. There's experts out there that are offering free advice. So just on the internet there.
And I think too, like a lot of times, like I'm a co-founder of BC Tomorrow, and so I'm very sensitive to utilizing money so efficiently when it's scarce when you're in a nonprofit. And I found a number of places that will give a discount if you're a charity or a school. Lots of software places want to be a part of that program, so that's another opportunity for BC Tomorrow. Our company CE Analytic donates all of the web resources and the hosting and the development of that. So that's another way is to get partners to help you out with
Yeah,
that.
that's a good one. I think engaging with maybe schools that have people who are looking for this sort of work to get more exposure or just to do work in general, that might be a good start.
Yeah, so Brenda's saying she's working to get youth involved. So I mean that's an important thing. I know my daughter Cassidy took quite a few food science courses growing up. She's quite a great cook, and actually I don't know our son Jacob. He never took a course at all, but he makes the best cookies in the world. So I don't know. It's great to get youth involved, and then they take those skills. They're life skills, aren't they? You
Hmm.
take them with you for
They
the rest of your
definitely
life.
are. I mean, I'm learning them now, and I didn't I didn't learn about them before, but I wish I had for sure.
Um, What am I seeing here? Oh yeah, I just wanted to make this point too that it sort of leads into our next section, but I don't have the report up, but I'll put a notice on it. It was about modern food supply chain technology has advances in food production, processing, and how we store food. But there's a lot of waste. And in fact,
There,
there's a UN report that Canadians waste an average of 79 kilograms of food a year at home, just at home. Some of that is it goes bad in your fridge because you buy too much. But it's more than the average American who's only at 59 kilograms, and similar about in the UK. So, you must have to buy some ingredients in bulk, Olivia, and then store them, or you're batch baking. Like, how do you store ingredients? Like, do you use glass or what do you do?
so it depends on the produce or the ingredients. So dry ingredients can be stored in a sealed tight plastic container or a glass container. If you can find one big enough to fit 20 kilograms of flour, please let me know. But yeah, so I do source all of my dry
Mm,
ingredients in bulk where I can. There's a lot of food distributors locally that can offer this sort of service. And so that's
yeah.
where I go. Flour is the biggest one. I mean, that's what moves the most, like in terms of volume that I use. And so I always try to buy it in bags of 20 kilograms because that actually reduces the waste because you just use that one bag and then the bag's normally a paper material bag, so that can be recycled, which is great. You just have to make sure you store it in a sealed tight container or a bag of some sort. In terms of fresh produce and stuff like butter and dairy and stuff like
Mm,
that, I mean, it has a short shelf life. So as long as you're buying only what you need, so this comes with a little bit more practice, but you need to buy exactly what you need. And if you have a little
yeah.
bit extra, then great, you'll probably use it in your house like milk we use regularly, so that's not too much of a concern. Butter, I mean, butter goes through our house like crazy fast, but we do use it. We do use it on like toast. Like it is usable in other ways. And
Yeah.
so I think just knowing how much you need and not overbuying
Yeah.
produce to make sure that doesn't go bad is key. And then for things like fruits and things that go bad quicker, I think if you buy more than you need, then there's a possibility there of splitting it and freezing
Mm.
some of that for later use. Because when you freeze things, they're still usable, especially in baked goods. Like I have tons of frozen raspberries and strawberries in my freezer.
Yeah.
And I buy them fresh, but I split them so that I can freeze them and use them at a later date. And that
Yeah.
way, if you have too much and it goes bad, then what happens then, right? So it's a little bit takes a bit of pre-planning, but as long as you know what you need, then that makes it easiest to store.
That's a great idea. I know that Karen and I do that too. We're lucky here in Secwepemcúlecw. There's lots of local agriculture. We get lots of seasonal produce, lots of berries and fruits in the fall. And we'll do the same. When the peaches come, I love peaches, but they don't last, right? And especially if you're buying
Yes.
organic freestone, you got to eat them all in about a week and a half, which is got a whole nother set of problems for me.
Yes.
But so what we do is we'll still buy like a 20-pound box or even a couple of them. We often get them from Brad DeMille's down here, the local market, and then we'll make crisps with them and load up the freezer. And so then the way I look at it is all winter you get to periodically pull out some Okanagan sunshine and have it in the middle of winter, and that's pretty nice. And it's local, and so yeah, that's a way to do it.
Yeah, I think just hearing what you were saying, I think the other thing is like if you buy too many apples, you can bake them and dry them out,
Yeah,
and then dried produce lasts way longer as long as it's stored properly, right? So
yeah,
things like even bananas, I mean, they're not local, but you can make chips out of them. Kale,
yeah.
apples, oranges, you can bake, lemon slices. So there's lots of ways to kind of use every last part of the food and not have it go to waste.
Yeah, that's critical. I don't have the numbers right at me, but I know that I was talking about this with Seth as well, and it's a North American number, but somewhere around 1/3 of the greenhouse gas contributions of full scale agriculture ends up in our landfill
Mm-hmm.
because it spoils. We leave a quarter of it on our plate at the restaurant because we ordered too much. All of those things. So yeah, I mean, I try to minimize that. I mean, not everybody estimates perfectly all the time, so we have a composter in our backyard, which feeds our
Yeah, and that's a
garden.
great one too for food that you don't consume. You can compost it, and so at least I know in Ottawa we have some programs where you can. There's this thing called the Box of Life, and essentially it's like dirt and worms, and it's a composter that you can have inside your house.
Oh,
But
nice.
if you have yard space at all, you can definitely just use that as compost.
Yeah, yeah, it's
That's a good
amazing.
one.
I have one of those big black things, like it's almost as tall as me. And like in the winter, we get curbside pickup of our food waste. The city is piloting a program here in Salmon Arm to do that, which is really cool. Because in the winter, your composter doesn't work in Canada.
It
It
does
wouldn't.
not, especially not in Ottawa.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in Florida or Texas or whatever, California, that's a go, but not here. So it's nice that the city does that through the winter, and then in the summer, it all goes out to our backyard, and then it also cuts my costs of eutrophying our garden boxes. That's where it ends
hmm
up.
It's a great way to fertilize your garden for sure. My family does that, so they have a huge backyard and they just put all the compost in to
Yeah,
grow vegetables of all sort. They have like all sorts. I go over there and I pick fresh vegetables whenever I can. This is my grandma's backyard, so
nice.
she grows like eggplants. She grows garlic. Like there's all sorts of things. Cucumbers. It's incredible how many things you can grow. Beans, beets. Beets are easy to
And a lot
grow.
of them
So
are
many.
easy. Like a lot of them are easy,
hmm
and yeah, even if you're in an apartment, you just need a couple of pots on your balcony or in a shared space.
Exactly. Yeah, or even on the roof or a shared garden. Anywhere like
Yeah.
that would help.
All right. Oh, there we go. Rapid fire questions. My favorite part of this whole show. Brenda, I see, yeah, you're working with 4-H and the Sorrento Center Garden. That's cool. Local solutions, just like what Olivia's doing. More of that is going to be better. More people just stepping up and doing it, right? It's a cumulative effect. If every one of us reduced our waste by even 50%, that would be a massive drop. Massive drop. And we'd save money. We'd have more money in our jeans for cool experiences. So, anyways, speaking of cool experiences, here we go with rapid fire. Olivia, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, so no thinking too hard. Just give us your gut response. We want to find out who you really are.
All right, I'm ready to go.
No, you're very authentic. I'm just kidding. All right, here we go. Favorite color?
Lavender.
Ooh, lavender. Yes, we've had two lavenders. Well, purple if I put that in the same category. Favorite number?
11. Just a lucky number.
Nice. You know what? You're definitely the first number 11, and I think you're the first double digit. Everybody else has been below 10. Not sure what that says about you, but anyways, I like it.
People make wishes at 11:11, so it's got to be lucky somehow.
There you go. There you go. Regular bake or convection bake?
Convection bake. Get more in the oven at the same time.
Ah, cool. Protein, carbs, or fat?
I mean, I would like to have more protein, but I think the majority of my diet here is carbs.
That's one of the benefits of being a runner. You can eat more carbs. When you're marathon training, usually, at least for me, it's 60% carbs. So
I better start running.
Yeah. Ottawa or Halifax?
I'm going to say Halifax. I mean, I live in Ottawa, but I love the Maritimes.
Yeah, I saw that on your blog. Go check out Olivia's trip. If you're getting a home, would it be a Victoria Charmer or modern industrial?
Victoria Charmer. That one's really easy. I love the olden architecture and just the quality, the material from then.
And the style.
And the style.
Style.
For sure.
All right. Apples, oranges, or bananas?
Apples. Very versatile.
If you go to Olivia's website, there's one heck of a lot of apple recipes. So I have no idea, Brenda, if Fife bananas are derivative of Chiquita, but if somebody else out there knows, pop the answer into the questions. Okay, Olivia, fiction or nonfiction? I did not know you were going to say what you said when I wrote this.
You know what? The answer is actually a little bit of both, because in fiction, there's historical fiction, but there's also there's nonfiction historical, and that's interesting too, like biographies.
Yeah. Or sometimes they're a mix, right? They're a hybrid.
Sometimes they're a hybrid because the fictional story is built off of an actual story.
Yeah. Stephen Pressfield, check him out.
Okay, I definitely will.
One of my favorite authors. In fact, I'm going to put a plug in for Stephen. Where is this? This is one of the greatest books ever. War of Art.
Okay, I'm writing it
Break
down.
Through the Blocks, Win Your Creative Battles. Given to me by my mentor. I don't know that I've read any book twice. I've read this one 6 times.
Oh, wow.
And I'm still reading it. It's awesome. Inspirational mentor.
Oh, that's a tricky one. I'm gonna say the Dalai Lama. That's my answer.
Wow. I meditate.
I've actually seen him live once in Ottawa, so he was pretty inspirational.
And incredibly good speaker.
He is.
Okay, last question. Carleton, Ottawa University, or University of Ottawa?
Uh, it's U of O, University of Ottawa.
That's the Gigi's, right?
Yes,
All
that
right,
is
the
where I went
garnet
to
and
school.
gray. Woo!
Yeah.
All right. All right, let's keep rolling here. We're getting close to the end of our show. I'm still feeling supercharged by bananas. So if you're in the mood over there in comments and reactions, give us some banana emojis. I think I've covered most of my questions for you. We were going to talk about the CFX Library. And so I'm going to move there. And every week I ask guests to share either a book, which I sort of did with Stephen, okay, or a reference or a website or something where people who are interested in this topic can learn more. So the first thing I'm going to say is go to inspiringolivia.com because she's way too modest to say it, but you're going to find a lot of stuff there.
Thank
But
you.
what's your CFX Library contribution this week?
So my contribution is a podcast that I listen to often when I'm baking, and it's the BBC Food Chain podcast on Spotify.
Let me
It's
bring that up.
it's
There it
just
is.
a great podcast to listen to. You learn a lot about world food issues. I learned about the coffee industry recently. There's an episode on chefs in imperial kitchens in Russia and Germany, which was very fascinating. But all sorts of food topics you can find on this podcast. And it goes back to, I think, 2016. So there's tons of stuff to listen in on there. And it's still
Wow.
relevant now. So I love it. I listen to it all the time.
I have not subscribed to this one before, so definitely looks like there's some tremendous content here. And is it just voice only? Because they've all got pictures.
On Spotify, it's audio only, but I'm not sure if there are videos at the moment. I believe it's only a podcast.
Are you a guest on here yet?
I am not. BBC is quite a big one, and that would be a tremendous honor one day. But they do bring on experts in each episode from different food industries or farming or biologists. So I don't know.
Right.
Maybe one day.
Okay, so I'm going to reach out to our community. Everybody, email the BBC Food Chain podcast and tell them to get Olivia on there. She's a great guest. Let's see if we can do this. Let's crowdsource.
That would be amazing, but
Yeah,
it'd be an honor to be on there. It's a big
yeah.
one.
Oh, we got to share a great Canadian story here. So, Olivia, do you have any other parting words for us as amateur bakers? I mean, we're not all at your level. I dabble here and there. Like what would you say to me if I wanted to take on a summer baking project? What should I do?
I think the main thing when you are baking is to have fun. And so baking's like chemistry. It's all about the balance of ingredients with the liquid and the dry ingredients and then just how they react together.
Yeah.
So if you've got a science background and you are good at chemistry labs, then you can definitely bake. If you can follow instructions, baking is great. And if you're creative, baking works as well. So if you want to like try out different ingredients, try out different textures, yeah, it's super fun. And the most important thing is just to have fun and enjoy what you bake. So even if it doesn't look great, doesn't mean it doesn't taste great.
Yeah. Funny story. So I'm a forester and a scientist and an ecologist. And there's a plant out here. I don't think it's not in the eastern deciduous forest, but it would be in the boreal forest, especially in Quebec and New Brunswick, Northern Ontario. And it's called Arctostaphylos uva is the Latin genus and species, which is kinnikinick. Even the common name is a toughie, kinnikinick, especially late at night. But almost as much fun as cumulative effects. Maybe that's why I like it. But your story just reminds me. When I studied dendrology as a forester, we had to learn all of these plants, and I found out that the kinnikinick berry could be a hallucinogenic berry for something in it. So I thought I'd be a smart aleck and make a kinnikinnick pie and see what happened. I mostly got a stomach ache.
Yeah,
So
always research the ingredients before. Not all parts of everything are edible, right? Like rhubarb, the stem is edible, but the leaves are, I'm pretty sure they're toxic. So you should
yeah,
probably just make sure that you're baking with parts of plants when you're experimenting, or berries, or any sort of edible plant. Just make sure that you're not eating the toxic part.
yeah, yeah, for sure. It tasted good. I had lots of sugar in there, but yeah, I just sort of kind of got a stomach ache, and that probably wasn't a good idea. And I know that like mushrooms and that is also a really critical one. Like you can get yourself into a lot of trouble if you don't know what you're doing.
Especially the wildly harvested stuff, I would be very, very careful about that. Just do a lot of research before and make sure you're identifying the right plant, because sometimes they look similar.
Well, I'm going to ask people. There's lots of people that are going to come across this show that not live, so into the future, and share your questions in the comments and suggestions below. Share your summer or fall baking project. Olivia and I will follow along, and if you got questions or whatever, we'll do our best to answer. Definitely check out Olivia's site over at inspiringolivia.com. She's also on Clubhouse, as am I, so you can meet up with us over there. I want to say thanks so much to everybody participating on the comments and reactions. That was awesome. Brenda, great questions. I didn't get as many banana emojis as I was hoping for, but maybe we can make up for that in the future. And Olivia, thanks for really showing leadership there, taking action, doing, showing us by example what you can do, and then you're so freely sharing all of your knowledge and information online. It's a real inspiration.
Always, I'm very supportive of the community, and I think it's great to have someone or anyone out there really just sharing their knowledge, because who else am I going to pass it on to? Who else is going to bake? It's definitely not going to be my mom or my dad. They're like,
Right.
I mean, they passed it on down to me, so I'm trying to pass it on to whoever is next who wants that information. I mean, the internet is great for that sort of thing.
Isn't it? Isn't it? That's the great thing about YouTube. It's one of the reasons why we did podcasts on SoundCloud and a bunch of other things, just to be able to extend reach, share information, build community, bring people together. We're all in this. I would invite you to also check out my website, www.barryjwilson.com. I have a bunch of stories, scientific studies there. If you're interested in cumulative effects, lots of things around that. We're continuing to do more and more on local agriculture and food security. And it all ties into what Olivia is talking about here. So thank you very much. I will say, for those who have been following along all the way through the show, we're taking a 2-week break from the show because Barry's getting his P2 pilot certification for paragliding. So, but I just might go live from a paraglider somewhere.
You definitely should.
Yeah, that would be exciting, wouldn't
How
it?
entertaining.
Yeah.
It would really be.
I got a GoPro, so hopefully I can figure that one out a little bit better than the technology here on the computer.
Yeah, for sure. You're doing a
Oh
good
well.
job. I think you'll be able to figure it out.
Even a paragliding fail would probably get lots of views.
I think anything, like I've never seen anyone do it, so not anyone I know, but now I know you, so.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to document it. I'm going to put a bunch of stuff about what it's like to go through the experience. Ground school, then training of the ground handling, then what it's like to take off. And I've got GoPro video, and I'll continue to share my experiences. I want to get into hike paragliding, and where you might spend an entire day climbing to a summit and then gliding down. Sounds like a lot of fun.
That's really neat. I would love to do that. I'll have to get out there.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thanks everybody, and so we'll see you in maybe a week and a half from the bottom of a paraglider.